Alright everybody, welcome back to another Xvault gaming video. Xvault here, and today what I want to talk about is the next great up-and-coming game, Baldur's Gate 3, but more precisely, where it's not releasing, which would be the Xbox Series S and X coming out this year. So that is in fact not coming out. It's going to be delayed, and we're going to kind of go over that and break that down and see what that means and why. So, if you haven't heard, definitely follow along, and let's go ahead and jump to it. Alright, so like I was saying, we're going to go ahead and break down why Baldur's Gate 3 is not releasing on the Xbox new-gen consoles anytime soon. And I'm going to bring this out via the videogameschronicles.com to give them the credit there and pulling this from their article there. So follow along here. We'll kind of go over this and then I'll break this down a little bit further. So the upcoming RPG Baldur's Gate 3 may not release on Xbox until 2024, it's been suggested. Writing on Twitter, Larian's director-publisher Michael Dowse seemed to imply that the issues relating to the launch of the game on Microsoft's platform may not be resolved until next year. They go on to quote being said, "We have quite a few of engineers working hard to do what no other RPG of this scale has achieved. Seamless drop-in, drop-out co-op on Series S." Dowse wrote, "We hope to have an update by the end of the year." In June, speaking to IGN, founder and creative director Sven Vinke, or Vink, if I said that wrong, was asked why the game is coming to PC in August and PS5 in September, but still hasn't have a date on the Xbox Series XS. So they went over all this and stating what's going on. So while the Series S games often have a lower resolution frame rate or level of detail, this is considered acceptable by Microsoft given it's less powerful than the Series X, right? What isn't considered acceptable, however, is the removal of modes or other features. So further going on, the issue is then confirmed by the studio in February that the split-screen co-op mode runs perfectly well on the Series X, but is struggling to run to an acceptable level on the Series S. The team is reportedly hesitant to remove split-screen co-op altogether, thereby making the Series X version less feature-rich than the PS5 one. But Microsoft's policy, keep that in mind, policy also means it can't just remove it from the Series S version and keep it in the Series X version, hence the parity clause that they have per the policy. Explaining the complexity of the co-op mode, Vink explained, "You're very free in what you do, more free than people expect. That means you can run into a really big city that's much more dense than people expect. You can do all kinds of craziness, so it requires a lot of optimization, and so on and so forth. It takes time, that's the reality of the development. It's not that we planned this, our plan was that we wanted to have a simultaneous release, but we've been on this game for a long time. It's a really big game. The amount of things you can do in it is insane. I'd be surprised when they save everything, right? There's constraints we have to overcome, so we just work on them. Some take more time." So they just kind of go on and on about that a little bit more, but moral of the story is the fact that this game cannot be optimized, cannot even produce what it's supposed to for the Series S. That's how big this game is. And this kind of coincides with my past video I made not too long ago regarding why saying that the Xbox Series S is too weak. It's not indicative of being a current gen system. It just isn't. It's not an opinion, it's a fact. And now you're having games being affected because of, Microsoft's parity clause. It's not due to the Series X. The Series X, that version can do just fine. It's because they have that parity clause. That is affecting you as a gamer because you have to sit there and have that clause, that policy, making it as even as possible with game content to match that on the Series S along with the X. When they are that far removed from one another, that is a problem. That doesn't only bottleneck gaming in general, but it affects the gamers. It hurts a lot of things. This is what I'm very vocal about on the Microsoft and Xbox side of things. I don't think it's okay. I don't think it's something to be pushed to the side and be like, it's all right, that's a developer issue. It's not. These guys have been working on this game for a long time. This game is already released on Google Stadia when that was a thing not long ago. So because that went under, then they went ahead, oh, well, there goes our contract with Google, and we're going to get this out everywhere we can. Obviously, this isn't hitting the Nintendo Switch even via the cloud because things just would not work, even streaming to the cloud and the processing and everything else that would be required via the Switch. It just doesn't work. And this is the same thing for the fact that the Series S is much more powerful than the Switch, of course. It still is bottlenecking gaming, and that's not okay. I don't know what Microsoft is thinking. I get it. You have a cheaper system. Those out there that can maybe only afford that can go ahead and do it. I know it's controversial to say just save up and get the next. If you want to stay with Xbox, save up and get the Series X. But I think what people don't understand is you try to use it as a value aspect. We can only afford this. We knew these systems were coming out for some time, and you knew a good ballpark of what that will cost you. This is a hobby. This isn't a necessity. If anybody has a hobby, whether it's gaming, fishing, camping, ATV, dirt biking, whatever your hobby is, sports, anything, it costs money because it's not a necessity. You know, it's a privilege to partake in your hobby. You can do different levels of your hobby, right? There are different entries into the gaming, and you can, if you couldn't jump into the next gen for whatever reason, if you couldn't get to that $4.99 US price, whatever it is over in your area, if you're watching this from elsewhere, then, you know, you're going to be in that gen anyway. So the fact that, my point being, is that Microsoft's giving this value tier, so to speak, still harms a lot of the gaming, and gaming cannot move on. And again, it's a hobby, and I'm not pushing what anybody can or cannot afford. I totally understand. I know a lot of people personally, they still only have a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One or whatever, and that's fine because they can't. It's just not a priority. They can't, and they understand that it's not a priority, that this hobby is something that takes priority if they had a new kid or a new baby, or they have other life expectancies come up, or they're laid off of work, or a multitude of other reasons, right? It just happens, and that's understandable, and that's not shaming anybody. But again, this is a hobby, and this is where you have to be in order to play those new gen games, and that is why. It's unfortunate that certain gamers are now going to have to wait, probably more than likely into 2024 sometime. We don't know if it's the first half, the second half, 2 months in, 5 months in, we don't know, of 2024, because you have a parity clause. It's not even that, okay, we have this system, okay, Microsoft, maybe get rid of that parity clause and say, don't even make it for the Series S, but that makes them look bad. Or cut content from the Series S and have it only on the Series X, or cut the content altogether, and then the devs don't want to tarnish their names like they were just saying, and saying, well, we're not going to have co-op and drop in and drop out, but on another platform it certainly can, such as PC and PlayStation 5. That's just, you know, it's unfortunate. It really is. And you're left with your hands tied, and you're left with limited options because of this. So I don't like a lot of decisions Microsoft does. This just stacks up to be another one. I know I prefer PlayStation, and that's you know, against Xbox and all this stuff, but that's not the case. If they're making fine decisions, I don't care. I want everybody to game where you want to game, this, that, and the other. I just don't like their decisions. I haven't liked their decisions for over 11 years because they continue to fumble. They continue to do things I don't agree with. And this just stacks up, like I said, yet another reason why I don't agree with them. I don't agree with the company. I don't agree with the decisions they make in the gaming. I don't agree with how their practices are affecting gaming negatively. You know, all I can say good about Xbox and Microsoft these past 11 years is at least they've given you value because of Game Pass, I guess. There are options out there, and I can give that valid point to a point, but the way they're going about it and around it is not helping gaming out in the long run. Mentioned this multiple times in previous videos as well, so it's just unfortunate. Wanted to speak to this, wanted to break it down for those of you that may not have heard or don't understand what was going on and why it's taking longer on the Xbox, and to kind of break that down a little further than just an article does, and what some changes need to happen. Now, Microsoft does like to listen to the customers out there, so feel free to voice your opinion and be like, hey guys, maybe you should drop that parity clause. Maybe we should figure something out. You know, they're not going to phase out the Series S this generation. They're too far in. They dug in too far. It's here to stay, for better or worse. That's just the way it is. So, on that note, I'll wrap it up here. I appreciate everybody hanging around. If you did, all the support, awesome. Thank you so much. 632 subscribers, trying to hit that 1,000 goal. I know we can do it, so thank you all so much for sticking around, all that support, everything else. If you haven't already, definitely leave a comment down below. Would love to hear from you. Love to hear what you think on this video in particular. Would love to see a like from you guys, helping out the algorithm. And if you haven't already, definitely consider subscribing, helping out a small content creator like myself. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and we will see you next time on the next Xvault Gaming video. And until then, take care.